Today is January 29th. Today is January 25th, and it is the official first day of NAMM. Hey everyone, I'm here with Caster. We're at the StageStrike booth. You were the founder, creator,
Yes.
creative genius, innovator,
All of the above, yeah.
actor, model,
Yeah.
philanthropist,
Not as of yet, but it will be.
a future philanthropist. Well, I want to learn a little bit about StageStrike with the wink. First question, this logo right here. Now, is that you?
It does kind of represent me. Yeah, I've been, working audio pretty much all my life, and I see audio as fun. So when I wanted to come up with a logo for my brand, I wanted something fun, and this just like popped to mind right away. An XLR is a face. Let's just make it funner.
I love that. And you know, we've been going to different booths here, and all we're looking for are brands I have yet to hear about and great energy. And you guys have great energy. We saw that logo, we saw your orange shirt, and we saw you and we said, we're gonna talk to him tomorrow, and so here we are.
Yeah, we are actually very, very, very excited to be here because it's our first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is StageStrike just officially started operations in April last year.
Congratulations.
And it was born out of these products that I created out of my own necessity as a tech. And suddenly, I mean, it became a product because everybody started asking me they wanted it. Can you sell that to me? And they're like, okay. Let's just sell it. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's sell it.
Wow, that's always the best kind of product, you know, the thing that emerges from a real need from people. So my first question is, let's say my dad was here, he came upon the booth, he sees your logo, he sees these right here, the screen. He might be a little confused because he doesn't know anything about music or pro audio, and he'd ask you, what do you do? So how would you explain it to him?
Well, that's quite interesting because it's the biggest challenge that I had internally coming here, because this is a product that didn't exist. So I was counting on people kind of, piquing curiosity of people to see what it is. In essence, this is a system which has two main characters, the mic cube and the pack holder. It is a modular, stackable, interlockable organization system for wireless mics and wireless packs. Why? Because as techs, sometimes you need to handle lots of packs, and sometimes you don't have the space to manage all that. It did happen to me. I was looking for options online, and I didn't find anything that suited my needs, and I was like, okay, I think I'm smart enough, let's go ahead and do it. So this guy, by itself, it holds a pack, right? And it can stand by itself, but by itself it doesn't have much utility. It does have when you start joining it with the other ones. So you can place it on a desktop, or you can hang it on a mic stand. Or later on, when I came up with the mic cube, which you can also interconnect, make a whole line of it, and you can whatever form suits your needs. Then I started joining both, so that it condensed the operations even more. And now it's being used on tours. That's the Enrique Iglesias tour, and in corporate world, it's being used a lot in churches. They've gone crazy with all the color-coded things. So it's kind of obvious it's used, but it's not obvious why it didn't exist before. But my theory is that it didn't exist before because years ago 3D printing was not a thing. In order to do this injection molded, that has a high cost of development. So this, from the moment I actually conceived it till the moment I had my first prototype, it was just 4 hours. I thought of it for like 2 months, but the actual execution was about 4 hours.
Amazing, and you touched on this a bit, but who are the ideal customers for you? Who are the people that are going to buy it? Who are the people that are going to use it? And what are the scenarios that would be best suited for what you're making?
That's the interesting part, because initially, since I was being asked directly by techs, I thought the techs were my customers. But it turns out the techs are not my customers. They are my end users.
Right.
My customers are the production companies that have all the RF in their racks, which the techs use. So eventually, when this picks up, production companies will have the pack holders and mic strips, and techs will have very organized, presentable tech tables, client-facing and all that. Yeah.
I love it. I'm someone who loves a calendar, loves tidying up. I love organization.
Well, that's my motto. Teching neat.
Teching neat. So now I'm curious about any sort of feature that we haven't seen, or maybe an interesting use case that you found people using your products.
Well, that's the interesting use case is like happens every day, because I created the system with one vision, but once it's out there in the wild, my clients have come up with new uses, new ways of configuring things. I'm like, I hadn't thought of that. It's a very fulfilling experience, actually.
What's a good example of an interesting use case you've recently heard about?
So check this out. In corporate world, for example, you would use this not for IMs, but for lav mics.
Oh, okay.
So I have this little clip here that you can use to hang the lav, right? Usually I had thought of it this way, how you're seeing it. But then somebody thought, okay, since this is a separate unit, why don't you hang the lavs by themselves, for example? So you can have all these here and then the lav cables. Furthermore, another guy came in, oh, but you have this double clip. How about you put two of them? And then you can have more lavs at your disposal. And I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. I had not. And something as simple as this. I conceived this for straight mics, straight mic stands. Somebody put it on a boom, and that you can have these facing forward.
I love that. That's amazing. I mean, this speaks to the beauty of modularity. You know, you make all these certain components that are separate, and together they create something unique and interesting, and it kind of gives people, I just keep thinking about play and blocks and cubes and being on a playground. And
more than once, these have been called stage Legos.
I like that. I guess you can't use that term, but
Legos for audio.
we'll use it on,
Yeah.
we'll use it behind the scenes. Okay. Well, I have a few more questions for you. First of all, is there anything you haven't covered? I know there's a lot of colors here. I'm curious maybe why those colors? Why did you even choose colors at all? Or is there anything else that people should know about?
Well, the colors. Usually, the colors is mainly to get rid of labels. So, because if you're like working regularly with a band, you tell them, okay, you're yellow, you're blue, you're green, and then they just go straight to the stand, pick up the yellow, pick up the whatever color they are, and put it back. That's been picking up also at churches, because in churches there's a lot of the worship teams are big, and you just assign colors and they choo choo choo. I'm making tech lives easier.
Well, thank you so much. Keep teching neat. We're here with StageStrike. We're here with Caster. Carlos he's busy. Everyone loves him. The fans are rushing to Carlos. And 3D printing, NAMM, Pro Audio, microphones, wireless, receivers, modularity, colors, Orlando.
Yes.
Orange.
Orange County. Actually.
Orange County. Actually.
We went from Orange County to Orange.
This is going to be an easy one because there's a company called Goran Grooves, and there's a guy by the name of Goran. I don't know who is named after what. I think he's named after the company. We're going to find out. We're going to interview him about Goran Grooves, this beautiful product he has right here. We're going to find out what it's all about. How would you explain what your product is to someone who, let's say my dad came over and saw this on the screen. He doesn't have any musical background, not a lot of knowledge, and he said, "What do you do? What do you do for a living? What is this thing?" What would you say?
All right. So what we do, we have virtual drums and percussion instruments. That's for people that produce or record their own music, and that either cannot afford or it's not practical to have a real drummer record their tracks. So these are virtual drums. They produce realistic sounding drum sound and percussion sounds. And we also have loops that integrate with that so that it sounds like a real drummer playing drums, real drums. So here what you can see is basically the graphic user interface of our products, standalone graphic user interface. So in a nutshell, that's what it is, a virtual drum instruments.
I always like to know when people use your tool. Everyone uses tools in a variety of different ways. Sometimes it's not how you expected. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's a feature that just blows people away, surprises them. What would you say like a standout feature of your product is?
Okay, so one thing that that these drums do that no other virtual drums do in the same kind of way is the way we utilize variable hi-hats. You know, the hi-hats can go, acoustic hi-hats, when you play them, they go from tightly closed to fully open, and like many different levels, right? So they slowly open up. We only utilize 2 nodes to accomplish that with the hi-hats that are played with the edge of the stick and the tip of the stick. Normally that's done, companies will sample, maybe make 12 or 15 or 16 nodes to do the same thing. We only use 2 nodes, so you can have a loop or play it live, and you can just use a controller, CC4, to go from tightly closed to fully open hi-hats. Very, very simple. You just have a little knob, you turn, and when you're playing a loop, it just goes like it opens up. It's something I can demonstrate later. So that's one of the things. I think the most important, I wouldn't say feature, but the most important aspect of our products is that it's mixed ready out of the box. So when you pop it, it sounds like a real instrument, like a real drum set out of the box in an acoustic space. So it doesn't sound like components kind of like floating in outer space. It sounds like acoustic space in a room, ready to go. So that's the biggest thing, is a lot of people, they either don't have the time or they don't have the knowledge and expertise to know how to get multiple microphones to blend them together to make a sound like a drum set. So they don't have to deal with that with our plugin. They just load it up, and it sounds like a kit drum set ready to go, and they can either drop in an existing loop or create their own, but they don't have to spend hours getting the sound right, you know, and they can also add effects to it if they want to.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, because that definitely is a big challenge with getting drums to sound consistent. And then also, like you mentioned, the velocities and making sure that it sounds natural and in a natural space. That's great. Do you have any ideal customers for this? Like, is there someone or a type of person or a role or maybe a process where this would be the best used scenario?
So I think the ideal customer is a person that doesn't want to spend hours getting the drum sound ready, right? Somebody that just wants to get going with a good sounding, realistic sounding drums and percussion from the get-go, right? Somebody that wants to have a full control over the room mics or overheads, closed mic. This is not what it's for. So this is for somebody that just wants to have a natural instrument out of the gate, ready to go, you know, quick use, you know, they're doing a arrangement or something, they don't want to spend hours, boom, it's there. So yeah, that's the ideal customer.
So it seems like maybe someone like a bedroom producer, a bedroom artist, it just makes it really easy for them to load it on and get going. Great. Is there anything else we haven't covered? Any other products, any other features, or anything that you want people to know about your company or your products?
This is a new version that's coming out. It has many new features that are not available in the current version, but will be included, which is the MIDI loop browser and different controls for the like panning and more routing options for the drums. But the main thing is that it's easy to use. I think that's the biggest point. It's easy to use, and it's used by both novice users, amateurs, and professional users and producers. You know, it serves equally well the purpose. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Goran Grooves. Be sure to check them out on the internet and in real life, and hopefully on your laptop. This is Michael J. Morgan, Goran, NAMM 2024, the Convention Center. And good night. All right, back again. It's day 4, I think, or 3. The days have been really starting to fuse together, and it's appropriate because I just discovered this brand AudioFusion, and my buddy Brandon here. Do you own AudioFusion?
So Kevin and I are co-founders.
I met the 2 co-founders of AudioFusion, Kevin and Brandon. And when I was growing up, I had a friend named Kevin and a friend named Brandon. So hopefully they'll be my friends. Will you be my friend?
Absolutely.
There you go. Dreams have come true. All right, well, the first question for you is, let's say I came here with my dad, and we were walking arm in arm. We stopped at this booth, and he saw your booth, and he sees the microphone. He wouldn't really probably have any idea what's going on here because he doesn't play music. He's not in pro audio. But he might ask, well, what do you guys do? What is this? How does it help people? What would you tell him?
So AudioFusion is a new way of delivering audio over Wi-Fi that basically turns your iPhone into a wireless pack. So instead of using a wireless belt pack that might cost you $800, you can just use the $800 iPhone that you already own. And then you just plug your in-ears right into the phone, and now you've got stereo, wireless, and personal monitor mixing right on the phone.
Whoa, that's awesome. Well, maybe if my dad's ever ready for the stage, I'll get him one of those. So I assume my dad is not the ideal customer, but who is the ideal customer, and in what scenario would you say the product would be best served?
Yeah, so traditional gear for in-ear monitoring for any band is really expensive. So for a band that's just starting out, in order to not be reliant on whatever the venue happens to have, you've got to bring your own gear with you. And so AudioFusion makes it a fraction of the cost of traditional in-ear monitoring gear. So it's really for any band that wants to get on in-ears, start playing to a click, or just be able to control their own sound on stage. Then it's for those bands. So it's not for the Justin Timberlakes or the Beyoncés of the world. You know, those guys just hire a company to provide that stuff for them. But if you're bringing your own gear, this is absolutely the way to go.
And everyone's bringing their phone. I'm even bringing mine right now.
That's right.
What would you say when people get to see the product for the first time and they get to use it, maybe they've used it for a few weeks, few months, few years, they come back to you and I'm sure they're super excited about specific features. Is there any feature that people might not notice right away about it that people find quite compelling?
Well, the biggest comment that we get is from people saying, oh, I can't believe you can do that over Wi-Fi. That's amazing. So the latency being so low to be able to use it in a live performance is pretty spectacular. That's the biggest comment that we get. But the other thing that we get from people all the time is, thank you so much. This is actually affordable. We can now afford to do this because we're really enabling you to use the devices you already own.
Yeah, that's excellent. And we've been hearing a lot from different companies about the democratization of audio production. You're one of the first companies we're speaking to that's doing the democratization of live audio, and that's great. You know what? I'll be your friend, Brandon. Is there anything else that you haven't covered about the product, about your company? Maybe you have other services or offerings or details that you just want people to know about?
Yeah, so eventually we feel like this is the kind of technology that will enable the entire industry to go this way, right? It all should just be plug and play using standard IP protocols over Wi-Fi. So it'd be built into all the gear. All the gear should just be able to talk to each other. Should it also be plug and play like the rest of our lives?
Wow. More Wi-Fi, more NAMM, more live music, more Brandon, and more audio fusion. Stay fusing, as they say, America. So I'm here with another fellow Michael who runs a company called Realitone. And we're going to talk to him about the company. We're going to talk to him about his products. And we're going to learn a little bit about his take on the state of the industry. So my first question for you, and thank you. First question for you is, how would you explain your product or service to someone like my dad, who has no musical knowledge, no production knowledge, no songwriting knowledge? He knows about music, but how would you explain it to him if he walked by and saw what was on the screen?
Well, Dad, may I call him Dad?
Oh yeah, or Bill.
Bill, see these singers back here? I take those singers and I put them into your computer so that you can then play. We record them singing ooh, oh, all sorts of different things like that, different notes, ooh, and then we map them so you can play them on a keyboard and hear them sing back the exact notes that you play. So you can play chords, you can do all sorts of things, male singers, women singers, and then a whole bunch of other stuff that starts to get a little bit more complicated than that I don't know that I can explain in a simple video like this.
I think you would get that. I think you would actually want to play with that. What would you say? I always love to know this. You know, people see a tool and they use a tool in a variety of ways, sometimes unexpectedly. Sometimes you're the tool, sometimes I'm most of the time. I'm wondering, what would you say the standout feature of your product is?
This particular product, Sunset Choir, is similar to another product that we released, which is called Sunset Strings. And what I would call the standout feature of it is we have what's called a two-layer system. So if you have the choir singing ooh like that, then we have a second layer, which is them singing ah, or whatever vowels that you would want. And then with what's called a mod wheel, you can go between the two layers. So we'll go ooh, ah, ooh. So you can do things like that. At its most complex, we have another instrument, which this may eventually lead towards, which is what's called a word builder, where you can even then type in vowels and consonants, and then they'll be able to sing the actual lyric that you write, that you then play the melody on your keyboard.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And all of these people are living inside of the computer?
Well, we miniaturize them so that they fit, and then we put like little hamster food through the top of the computer, through the fan slot sometimes, but then that like flings the food at them and they get hurt then. So instead we just drop it through the top.
Solid method.
Then a little eyedropper so they get fed water with the eyedropper.
They give them water, so don't worry. Who would you say the ideal customer for your product is?
Our typical customer is film composers or TV composers. People who write music for TV or films, which is how I got into this business, because I used to produce records years ago, and then I wrote music for film and TV. If you've ever seen Bill Nye the Science Guy, I wrote the theme song for that show. That's me singing Bill Nye the Science Guy. It's actually 4 of me because I recorded myself 4 times. In the same way, I put myself into that same computer singing Bill Nye the Science Guy 4 times. So you play 4 notes and then they all sing together. And then Bill Nye the Science Guy, and so on. But that's the primary audience, is people who are scoring or scoring means writing the music for TV shows or films. And they need choir. Well, a lot of times when you hear music in films, it's actually not a real choir singing. It's recordings of a choir that are done like this, that somebody's playing on a keyboard.
What? That's the coolest thing ever. I grew up listening to your voice, and I never knew. My brother singing to me in the mornings. Wow. Does everyone know this? Do all these people know this? We gotta let them know after.
They know.
He knows. That's why he's sticking around. He wants you. Do you sing into him?
Want some of that Bill Nye royalty money?
Did you ever meet Bill Nye?
Oh yeah. Well, the show was shot in Seattle. I'm in Los Angeles. But I mean, the way that I got it, I was producing records at the time, and they liked stuff that that I had done. So they hired me, and I would actually fly up to Seattle from time to time. There are music videos at the ends of each episode. We would record those music videos here, the songs, and then send them to Seattle, and then the singers that they had up there that they would do for the video at the end, they'd be lip syncing to the stuff that we down here. Sometimes, when you know that that's the case, sometimes you can kind of recognize, I don't think that's really the singer for that song, but that's how we did it.
We need to talk about this offline, but this is awesome. All right, back to it. So, in what scenarios would you say your product is best used for? You mentioned composers, but where in the chain would you recommend that they use this? Or are there different moments in their process where this would be most beneficial?
What I would consider the strength of this particular library, as well as a few of our others, is that you would use them towards the beginning of the process, because there's a certain amount of inspiration that they have. That you play the things, you do the thing, where you go, the basics are ooh and ah and things like that. But we also do other things where we recorded them going, so you start playing those sorts of things, and you just get ideas for what would happen. And that's where the use comes in. So it'd be in the writing process is usually where this comes. Sometimes what happens is people will use this in their computer, and then they'll hire a real choir, or in the case of Sunset Strings, which is the predecessor to this, then they'll hire a real string section to play the ideas that they had that they would use this instrument for. Those would be called mock-ups. You mock up what the final track will sound like. Track means song. What the final track will sound like, and then you'll hire real players to replace some of the parts, and sometimes you'll leave what are called samples. Those are the individual recordings that you play on your keyboard.
Great. So it seems like there's kind of two ways or two parts of the process where people could use it as an idea generation, inspiration, or I guess maybe a third, which would be like a final deliverable, and then one that's maybe a hybrid or just a way to hand off the ideas.
In fact, hybrid is the correct word. That's actually a category. You got it right.
I aced the test. Please tell Bill Nye that I'm smart. He taught me everything I know. Is there anything else that you haven't covered yet about your company, about your products that you want people to know about?
I came to Los Angeles to be a rock star. That didn't happen. But I then learned enough things, and I was doing songwriting and whatnot, so that I could produce records, write songs for records, and then I got into TV composing. A lot of my life has been opportunity happens, and then I take advantage of those opportunities. Before I came to Los Angeles, I was a college student as a math major, and I graduated with a degree in math. So things sort of came full circle in that as I was doing film composing and TV composing, I knew other people who made these sorts of instruments, and I kind of thought it'd be interesting if I could make these sorts of instruments. The fact that I was a math major meant that I understood how to code, how to write the computer code to make these things happen. So there are a number of, to me, benefits of that. One is that opportunity knocks where you don't expect it. But the second is those math classes that you have in high school and college, take them seriously, kids. 'Cause you'll be able to use that knowledge later. Ta-da!
It's like the real Bill Nye over here. This is the pro audio Bill Nye. Michael Nye, the pro audio guy.
Michael, the audio guy. Michael, the audio guy.
I think it's great. I think you're great. And you know what? I'm going to let the audience be the judge. Check out Sunset Choir. Check out Realitone.
Realitone.com.
Realitone.com. Check it out. Send Mike an email. Show him your love. And Michael, NAMM, 2024, January 26th. I'm tired. I had 3 coffees today, and we're here, and we're doing it. Happy birthday to anyone celebrating a birthday today. And music. Hello. I'm here with Robin at Zynaptiq. How would you explain your service to someone who has no idea about it?
So what we do is make stuff possible that just wasn't possible before. So really complicated DSP stuff. So we spend time in the lab just working all of that out. So it's just a few parameters that sort of everybody can use. So from like post-production stuff, just complex algorithms that you can just twist with one knob, to even stuff like we have polyphonic pitch correction. You can just take any track and with a few keys put that to a different key. Stuff like that. So even if you're like a huge nerd and you want really fine detail, we have the DSP, we make that stuff accessible to you. Or even if you just don't want to think about it, we have algorithms that do the stuff for you. So not like AI, where you press like one button, it just pretends, but like, just we have everything set up so you can fine tune it just with a few knobs until it's just like you actually want it.
I love that duality. You get to have both. Why not both, they say. It seems like you have a bunch of different plugins, not just one. Yeah. Okay. Maybe tell us about those.
Some of the ones we recently released is Pitchmap colors. So this is a new take on an older plugin we had, which was originally meant so you could pitch correct individual partials or specific parts of a track in a polyphonic thing, so you just put it on a master. But one thing that people realized is you can just put this on bass sounds, just crank the settings, and then you get color bass, and like really lean into that resonancy sort of type thing. We developed this with AU5, who's also a legend in itself in the sort of sound design community. And this really just allows you to take any sort of track, put this on a master, and get like a very colorful, insane sort of sound on it. Yeah, this is a lot more hands-on. Just you press the keys of whatever sounds you want, whatever notes, and then you're pretty much good to go. So it's very fast from idea to something complex. We got the orange vocoder, which we have a demo over there. The orange vocoder in itself, if you think of like traditional traditional vocoder plugins, it's usually like one way to make you sound like a shitty robot. So what we actually did, Orange Vocoder goes back to the original from ProSonic in the 90s, and we have just developed tons of algorithms that in different sort of ways try in the most quality possible, take the spectral shape of one sound and apply it to the other. So either if it's like different chords or simple sounds, you can pretty much combine anything and make it sound good. So be that like noise with like a super saw or an actual voice with huge chords, you still get a very clean result instead of the sort of phasery all-pass sound that you get from most modern vocoders, which are just like split in filters and then like automated in volume. So yeah, that's the orange vocoder. Yeah, that's the two new ones that we've recently released. New take on original Pitchmap, and the orange vocoder. But like even just being at the exhibition here, like some of our stuff that's been around for like 10 years, we're well known with professionals, but not well known with like the new amateurs, because we don't spend that much on marketing. We're a small boutique company. But stuff like that still blows people's minds. Adaptive Verb is a reverb that automatically detects the harmonic content of your input and then filters stuff from the output that is no longer relevant to that. So you play piano in real time, you press a different chord, and then usually you would get like a muddy soup. That just filters out of that out. So that stuff can actually be used on a master track. Just dial that in slightly. All of the other stuff's designed so you have minimal noise. It's not based on filters, on like feedback models. Like we have a bionic sustain resynthesizer that just resynthesizes the harmonics. Ray tracing models that are based on particle simulations. And with that, yeah, you suddenly have very new possibilities in taking sounds into new spaces.
Wow. I think they work with robots and people from outer space. Do you work with robots and people from outer space?
Again?
Do you work with robots or people from outer space?
We have this one demo for Morph. We at the Zynaptiq, you will be assimilated. So there's also tons of sci-fi influences in our stuff. I mean, if you look at our UIs, we also go for this sort of futuristic, gamey sort of sound, like look. But also because it's timeless. Like some of our plugins that were released in like 2012, 13, the look doesn't look outdated because we didn't capture that specific time period. And all of those plugins are still very relevant today because we didn't design them for like a quick release, but something that it actually holds up over 10, over 20 years and is still usable today. So yeah, more the sci-fi outer space stuff.
Who are the ideal customers for these products? It seems maybe producers and mix engineers, mastering engineers, or is someone I'm missing? Is there someone it would be better for?
So traditionally, our customer base was the super high-end mastering engineer. So post-production, for example, we have a plugin called Unfilter that sort of detects the contour of a sound and is able to correct it. That stuff's insane in post-production because it means there's stuff that you usually would spend 20 minutes on, and you just press one button and you got a result that you can work off. Just linearizes all of that, and after that, you just have to apply the stuff for taste. So that's a traditional audience, but with Pitchmap and Adaptive Verb, we're also now targeting a lot more the producer market. But that's also just something that's just grown over the last 10 years. If you think back to 2014, like being a hobby producer wasn't that much of a thing. The DAW market has shifted completely, where FL Studio is now by far the biggest DAW, and Ableton has grown a lot. So I think I'm from that sort of origin, and I think that will grow a lot more, but it's a harder audience to target as well. So we'll continue to sort of push stuff so it's the absolute best possible quality it can get. But I think we're also doing a lot more toys in the future that it's just fun to work with. Because in the end, that's also what we want. It's always going to be new stuff. We're not going to do another iteration of things that have been done before. But it's going to be interesting stuff, I guess. And it will be high enough quality so it can be used in sort of Hollywood stuff. For example, Adaptive Verb was used for the engine sounds in a new Star Trek movie, stuff like that. But this can also be used for like a singer-songwriter record. I've done stuff like that. So yeah, pretty varied. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Robin at Zynaptiq. Robin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure. Some excellent answers. This is Michael J. Morgan signing off. Have a great NAMM. Well, it's me again, and I'm back with another brand feature, this time with my friend Brady, who works at this lovely company called Sonido. So first question for you. How would you explain Sonido to someone, maybe like my dad, who would have no idea what this thing is?
Yeah, I appreciate that. The way I describe Sonido is really at the heart of it, we're a studio management software platform. So we're software. We help audio production studios better manage their business, right? I like to consider it like the non-sexy side of the studio, right? We don't get into the creative, but we're that foundation that they use to manage their business from day to day. Everything from their studio scheduling to managing all of their clients, project management, billing, and everything in between, right? So we bring together a lot of the tools that businesses, studio, audio production businesses use to succeed on a daily basis within a single platform, just making everything more efficient.
I love that and much needed. I see my own clients, going from tool to tool to tool, chaining things together. They're not communicating with each other, so I'm sure that solves a lot of that. There's a lot of cool features you just mentioned. What would you say is like the standout thing that if like someone that's an audio engineer, a studio owner saw, it would really blow their mind?
Sure. So I'm going to cheat here, first of all, right? One of the biggest benefits that Sonido offers for production studios is it helps to eliminate the need of cobbling together so many different systems. I think one of the things we see in the production business today is we bring together 12 different systems and we try to tie them all together and make them work. But just because they're all separate individual systems, they're disjointed, and it can be complicated to build a workflow that actually works that way. So the biggest benefit really is that we bring all of these features into one single platform, and it's a platform designed for the audio production business. We speak the language of audio, we work in audio, it's designed for these businesses, and so it just helps with efficiency, brings it all together, makes it easier. But we do have some very specific tools. I mean, we talked about scheduling and billing and all of these. There's a lot of systems out there that do some of that, but we have some very specific audio focused tools as well. Audio file review is one that most of our clients absolutely love. The ability, when they're mixing or mastering an audio file, share that out to the client, and then without having to go back and forth by email and text message and social messages and phone calls, now everyone has a more transparent portal where the client receives and listens to the audio. They add all their comments right there in the timestamp. The client or the studio can share comments back and forth, that feedback all in one place. And then they've got version control, right? Where now we can lay over version 2, version 3, version 4, and it's all happening in one place. And now we don't have to go back and forth by email and all these. That's one of the big things. And there's a dozen more, right, that are all audio focused as well. Yeah.
I love that. That AB feature sounds really cool. Who would you say the ideal person is that would use Sonido?
So we work with commercial studios. Whether it's a small, one-person home studio up to a large facility, it's any production studio that is taking clients and needs to bill those clients, right? Not so much the hobbyists. It's really all about building the business systems that are helping you to generate new revenue and new clients using software.
Give them a call or an email. Do you have a phone number on your website?
We have some phone numbers, but the easiest way to reach out to us is through our website. It's mysonido, mysonido.com, and then you can find contact info. You can request a demo and all of that from there as well.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered about the product that you want to let people know about?
You know what? There's a lot to it, right? I mean, as a business, we use a lot of different tools to manage our business and make sure that it's successful from day to day. I think really we've covered a lot of it, but it's really all about how do we make our business workflows more efficient and in some ways more automated so that we have less touch and we have a system that's working for us. And that's what, at least at Sonido, that's what we try to do, right? Keep a system or build a system that's very simple. It's intuitive, it's easy to use, but it's also very, very powerful because it brings all this into one. So, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? We need a system to help our business run effectively. Sonido, that's what we strive to do.
I like this guy. He's a good guy. I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing and for you giving us the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for coming by. Have a good show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
I'm here with Joe from Ace Studio, and they're making a very interesting AI product. We're going to talk to him about it. How does that sound?
Hey everyone, my name is Joe. We are from Ace Studio.
It's true. You hear it first. So we have a few questions for Joe, and we're going to find out a little bit more about Ace Studio. Who's that guy over there?
My colleague, actually is my co-founder. His name is Dutch.
The first question is, can you describe your brand in 7 words?
I think our brand is AI-driven. It's advanced. It's for singing voice. It's a synthesizer basically, and one more word is it's data-driven. Actually, yeah.
I like all those words. How would you explain your product to someone maybe like my dad who doesn't know anything about this stuff?
So thinking about if you want to make a song, but you don't know how to sing. Also, you don't have a singer, so you can use the AI singer to sing for you. Yeah.
Now, does it do other things, and are there any cool features that you want to point out?
Actually, it's completely cloud-based AI synthesizer, so you don't need to have a great computer to run our product. It's a very plug-and-play, user-friendly experience. You can just tap the play button, and the AI singers can sing for you. Also, you can use it to create great harmonies without having a lot of singers in the radios because it's too expensive. That's basically is our major feature.
If you were to think about the ideal user for this product, who would it be?
Basically, it's musicians and producers who have a need of the vocals in their workflow. And they also, all of them, if they need singers, they can use AI singers as an alternative.
Give me a few situations or settings where this product would be most useful.
Thinking, see, if you're a producer and you are creating a song demo, you want to find a singer to sing the demo, especially when the demo is maybe it's a female singer you need, but you are a male, you are a man, you don't have a female voice. So that's a time when we are looking for the AI singers as a substitution. And also, if you want to have some harmonies in your song, but you don't want to spend a lot of money to hire a bunch of harmony singers to the studio and also consume a lot of time. So that's time when you use our product. Yeah.
You kind of mentioned this, but how do you feel like, where in the process does the product fit in?
It's basically it's the production process, especially for the producing the vocals. When you're producing vocals, you can also you can always think about using an AI singer to as a substitution of the human vocals actually.
Is there anything else you didn't mention that you want to cover?
Yeah, I think basically it's all of this. But in the future, we are going to have some cooler features, like you can train your own AI model based on actually 3 or 5 minutes of your speech. You can have your own AI singers, and if you are singing, if you are a singer, you are a superstar, or you don't have too much time to, record the harmony or record the demo yourself, you can use AI singers, or your producer can use the AI singers to actually to maybe prototype the project you are doing right now.
Well, I'm a big fan of AI, and I'm a big fan of what you're doing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. This was Joe at Ace Studio. I'm Michael J. Morgan, signing off.